Welcome to the launch of the all-new Lexus RZ, the first dedicated EV from the luxury Japanese car maker. Late last year, we had a brief taste of a hand-built prototype on a test track, but this time round, we're in the Adelaide Hills to try the production version for the first time on Aussie roads. But as usual, we haven't got long, so let's go. The dual-motor all-wheel drive Lexus RZ 450e is on sale now, available in 2 trim grades with a starting price of a cool $123,000. Beating to market the closely related Toyota BZ4X, which will arrive later this year as Toyota's first EV in Australia, the Lexus RZ is based on shared e-TNGA architecture, meaning it was built from the ground up as an EV, unlike the smaller Lexus UX 300e, which is based on a regular combustion engined vehicle. From launch, there's just one dual-motor all-wheel drive powertrain to choose from, which comprises of a 150 kilowatt e-motor driving the front axle and another 80 kilowatt unit at the rear axle. Those work together to produce solid combined outputs of 230 kilowatts of power and 435 newton meters of torque, which Lexus says is enough to push this big SUV from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 5.3 seconds, even despite its hefty curve weight of 2.1 tons. Meanwhile, a 71.4 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery should provide around 400 kilometers of electric driving range. It may look slightly similar to the Lexus RX SUV, which is sold here in petrol and hybrid form, but this new RZ doesn't share a single piece of sheet metal with that large SUV. So what you see behind me really is all brand new. Now, if you read our first drive of the pre-production Lexus RZ, you might be wondering why this one doesn't have that same controversial yoke steering wheel with steer-by-wire. Well, that's because it's coming as an option later on. We just don't know when or how much it'll be, but expect it'll be pretty pricey. Even still, this cabin delivers on that same lush, high-quality feel we've come to expect of Toyota's luxury brand, and all of the materials feel really nice, and it's got a more driver-centric focused cabin, so now everything's sort of pointing towards the driver and everything's within really nice reach. Elsewhere, the cabin is laced with plush materials and vegan upholstery, and even a new radiant seat heating function in the flagship Sports Luxury, which uses infrared panels on the underside of the dash to emit heat. It keeps your knees toasty, but the downside is you miss out on a traditional glove box. This big 14-inch touchscreen takes up prime real estate in the dash, and it's the same unit you'll find in other new Lexus models like the RX. That means it's clear and really responsive, but it does take a bit of fiddling around to choose things like a driver mode or even find the seat heating on the move, which can be a little bit distracting. Something I do like though, which is a first for Lexus, is this new rotary style gear selector, and you've actually got to push it down and turn it to select drive or reverse. And it's a safety feature, so you can't just twist it and knock it into another gear, which is pretty clever. The rear seat of the RZ feels really spacious for someone my size. There's plenty of headroom and legroom is really good too, but there's not much toe room, so if this seat was further back, if you've got a taller driver or passenger, you wouldn't have as much toe room. And I will say the floor is quite high as well because of the battery underneath, so if you're any taller than me, you might feel a little bit cramped up because your knees are going to be up higher. You've also got seat heating on the top spec Sports Luxury. Yes, very nice. The boot of the RZ looks really spacious, and Lexus says it measures up at 522 litres of cargo space. The boot floor is really high and you don't get a spare tyre, only a tyre repair kit under here. But that's enough of that. Let's go for a drive. This vehicle is a big deal for Lexus, and not only because it's the first dedicated EV on the brand's journey to becoming fully electric by 2035. This is also a showcase for technologies to come from Lexus, and this RZ boasts plenty. The RZ is fitted with a trick new Direct 4 all-wheel drive system, as well as unique packaging when it comes to its EV components. Each electric motor sits within an e-axle that includes the motor, gearing and electronics, all working together to modulate torque between the wheels. Essentially what that means is while the RZ 450e is all-wheel drive, it'll prioritise where to send power depending on the road conditions and how you're driving. But there's no permanent torque split in any particular drive mode, so you can't just flick it to sport mode, for example, and expect it to be a rear bias sports SUV. It doesn't really work like that. It's still all-wheel drive. It'll just take how you're driving and whether you're cornering or going full throttle as to where it sends torque. One thing I can say for sure though is acceleration is really impressive in this car. Considering how big and heavy it is, it takes off really well and it's got a lot of thrust. Lexus says you'll get up to 400 kilometers of driving range from a full charge, and we reckon that's fairly accurate given our experience at its local launch, at least if you drive it with some finesse. Other benefits include 3 years complimentary charging through the ChargeFox network and a 7 kilowatt AC wallbox charger installed at home for free, which Lexus says will take 6.5 hours to go from 10% to full capacity, compared to 30 minutes at a fast charger. But unlike some other EVs, the RZ doesn't strictly offer one-pedal driving, but there are 4 stages of regen braking to choose from. And that brings me to the brakes. The brake pedal in this car is really quite firm. You've got to press it pretty hard before you get any sort of meaningful stopping power from it. And that can be a little disconcerting at first, but I think I've gotten used to it now. The other thing that doesn't make this feel like other EVs I've driven is the regen braking isn't super strong. So you've got to put it into sport mode where it's at its most potent if you like that more one pedal driving kind of feel. But even then, there's no real one pedal driving with the RZ. You've still got to use the brake pedal, which is good because it makes it feel more like a regular combustion engined vehicle. But by the same token, it doesn't really feel like a regular car because the brake pedal is so firm. Something I've noticed as well, the steering is super light, but it's artificially light. I don't love it. Put it in sport mode and it does stiffen up a bit and it feels a bit better. There's a lot to like about the new Lexus RZ 450e. It's certain to be much more exciting to drive than its more affordable but less powerful twin under the skin, the Toyota BZ4X. The RZ feels luxurious, is enjoyable to drive around town, offers a decent range, and will be backed by Lexus's generous after-sales benefits. But it's difficult to look past that big sticker price when fantastic electric SUVs like the Kia EV6, Hyundai Ioniq 5, and even the top-selling Tesla Model Y are already on the market for a lot less money and as much performance and practicality as the RZ offers. So, will the RZ be enough or do enough to beat those vehicles? It's hard to say just yet, but after this first test drive, I can say that it is really nice and luxe and everything you expect a Lexus to be. I just don't know whether it can compete in the same segment as those cars just yet, given its price.